Okay, so next up, moving forward, I want you to be aware of a little bit of a detail situation here. On this building, we have structure on the four corners. And guys, please don't critique my designs. I know it's like kind of silly and elementary to put your structure on all four corners of the building, but you know, for argument's sake, we have we have structure on all four corners of the building. But the reason I'm doing this is just so that you kind of force yourself into understanding a little bit more about the elements that you're going to be designing for. So, for instance, if we have our four corner structural elements here, right? And we want to put a facade that's flush with those elements on the outside of our building. Then we have to go through the process of recessing the massing from the outer edge of the building in order to accommodate the depth of whatever kind of facade we're going to build into it. Do you guys understand what I mean? Yeah, a curtain wall essentially. So that's going to take some depth, and your floor plates essentially are going to have to sit back from that a little bit. So we're going to create a little recess, and you might not understand why right now, but you will later on when we apply a surface or a facade to this exercise. But anyway, so the way that I'm going to do this is to try and isolate the exact surfaces that I have on the outer edge or outer faces of the building itself, and I'm going to extrude in and then subtract out. And there are some easier ways of doing this than to use this surface, because this surface, when I deconstruct it, has 14 different faces. So my list item, I'd be picking from 14 different faces. And if you guys are doing a more complex design, you might have a lot more different faces than just 14. So what I'm going to do is go all the way back to my original mass. So in my original mass, I only have 6 faces. And I can isolate the 4 outer edge faces, the vertical faces, and I can use those to offset inward in order to create a subtractive surface. And so that's going to look a little bit like this. Let's do a list item. You can turn off the original surface here too. Turn this off as well. So list item. And we're going to list item from the list of faces.
Where'd you get that beamer from?
This one?
What's it connected to?
Oh, I connected it to the original cap surface.
Alright. That's distracted. Almost lost myself.
Yeah. So with this, I'm going to list item one of each of those 6 faces, so 0 to 5. So the index item 0 is the bottom. And then I'm going to need number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are going to be the ones that I'm using to extrude. Now I'm going to try to do this with one panel where I select them all at the same time, but it might not work. So we'll try it, but I might have to list item them separately. So multi-line data, and I'm going to say 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Okay, that gets me these surfaces. Oh, you know what? I have this extrude. I don't even need to list item because I have the original extrusion back here, which doesn't have a cap on it. Silly me. Right? I don't have to list item because I can just use that one instead. So I'm going to deconstruct that instead. Did that confuse you? Okay. So now I have all 4 of these faces. What I'm going to do is extrude them inward from themselves as individual faces. It doesn't matter if the corners overlap one another because I'm just using it as a subtraction. So I'll need to find the normal. And so if you kept your normal tool, you can use that. You can just go to user and bring in your surface normal tool. but if not, I'll show you again how to redo it. It's under Surface and Analysis. You're going to need, whoops, you're going to need Area, Surface Closest Point, and Evaluate Surface. So the faces, we'll get the centroid of them. The centroid will plug into the P input, and the surface will plug into both of those inputs. So now we have a surface normal for each of these, and I'm hoping that they're all facing the same direction when I extrude it. So let's go ahead and do the extrusion. So I'll go to Surface, Freeform, and Extrude, and I will extrude the surface. So I can go all the way back to the beginning here, this surface, right? See that connection? Extrusion to B. And I'm going to extrude it by an amplified measure of that vector. So it's going to be vector, vector, amplitude. And the vector is the normal. And the extrusion depth is going to be whatever I set it to. So 0 to 1.00 to 2. There. So here's what happened. My original surface is inboard of this surface here. That's weird. It looks like it went inward and outward. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Do you guys see that? It looks like two surfaces. Huh. Let me see what happens when I list item one of these. Or actually, I don't need to test it with that. I'm going to test it with a bake. Ah, it is extruding it both ways. Huh. Oh, I know why. Sorry. Because I'm extruding the overall original surface before it got deconstructed instead of the individual surfaces themselves. My mistake. So plug in the faces from right here instead. There you go. Cool. That's what I was expecting. So this gives you a thickened outer edge from which you can use this to actually subtract the from this. So you'll notice that it kind of gives it a little bit of a recess when that happens. So let me pull this back a tad. And we're going to just do another surface difference, and it's going to be between these two. So go to Intersect, Shape, Solid Difference, and I'm going to take these two apart. Oh, I did it backwards. Sorry. There we go. Go ahead and turn off everything before this point. You can turn these off as well. And then turn on the extrusions for your structure again. So now you can see here that you're going to have a little bit of a recess within which we can operate for a facade element. And we can also change the depth of it too. If we need it to be thicker, a 2-foot thickness deep, or a little less, we can do that. So it's just kind of a neat little tool that you can use to help you with that kind of stuff. Are there any questions? No? Okay.